Welcome back to America Right Now. I'm Tom Basile. Get this, New York's newly minted state budget allocates $90 million for tax credits for so-called local news outlets. Eligible outlets can now receive a tax credit against 50% of the first $50,000 of a journalist's salary. It's welfare, folks, tailor-made for the Fourth Estate. The collapse of local and community-based newspapers and media outlets who focus on Americans' backyards has been an unfortunate consequence of the digital age. Smaller local outlets have been devastated by shifts in the industry and information consumption habits, as well as plummeting subscriptions and advertising revenue. Northwestern University study released in November of last year estimated that the United States has lost 1/3 of its newspapers and 2/3 of its newspaper journalism jobs since 2005. Corporate welfare won't change that dynamic. What it will do is advance the death of journalistic independence at the hands of left-wing Democrats who seek to control the public discourse at every turn. Russian television, here we come. Axios attempted to quell any fears about New York's program, throwing gasoline on the liberal-biased dumpster fire, saying, quote, the first-of-its-kind provision would create a blueprint for funding local journalism jobs across the country. Tax credits, unlike government-funded grants, are seen by some as less likely to create a dynamic where a local news outlet feels compromised by government-funded support. Really? Does anybody really think that a government-subsidized newspaper will be as aggressive in countering runaway taxation, spending, radical social engineering, assaults on local zoning, sanctuary status, cash payouts to illegals, woke education, tyrannical public unions, soft on crime district attorneys, and others of the most controversial policies pushed by states like New York? They could all get much more of a pass. This isn't about fostering a more balanced discourse, job creation, or even local news reporting. The left isn't interested in increased coverage at the local level. They're interested in increased favorable coverage for their agenda and their candidates. It's not about helping the little guy either. Provisions in the bill extend the benefits for outlets that have more than 100 employees and have suffered major layoffs in the last 5 years. The legislation quietly inserted into the $237 billion state budget is so vague in its definition of local that even some of the state's marquee publications could qualify. The New York Daily News, the liberal tabloid competitor to the New York Post, laid off more than 100 employees recently as it continues to struggle. It could qualify. Long Island's Newsday, another liberal outlet that also bills itself as a local paper, could potentially get a lifeline from the state. The new law allows papers to qualify for government assistance even if they have only one journalist focused on local reporting. And it'll likely be a loser for taxpayers, too. Right now, New York subsidizes everything from high-tech manufacturing to wind farms due to the state's highest combined tax burden in the nation, at a cost of about $8 billion annually. According to the Empire Center for Public Policy, a recent analysis showed that New York State taxpayers lost 49 cents for every dollar in their film tax credits. Unlike subsidizing a chip fabrication plant or a wind farm, the politicians won't even be able to tout big job numbers and receipts from media welfare. When you're guaranteed millions in taxpayer money or some form of government assistance like NPR, you become an appendage of the state. NPR has been subsidized by taxpayers for decades, and the ideological drift to the left has been dramatic, as recently articulated courageously by former editor Yuri Berliner. Welfare ensnaring people into a trap that makes them beholden to Democrats is a tried and true tactic of the left, and it will work with media outlets as well. There's already a lack of viewpoint diversity in much of America's media, as there is a lack of intellectual diversity in higher education. A recent study by Syracuse University's Newhouse School revealed that only 3.4% of journalists identify as Republicans. In 2022, a Pew Research study showed that less than 1/3 of journalists believed that there was sufficient political diversity in their newsrooms. At a time when newsrooms are calibrated to support left-wing ideology and George Soros is buying up radio stations, Americans should consider state-subsidized media a new front in the battle for the independent, honest political discourse that is critical to a free society. California, New Mexico, New Jersey, and the District of Columbia have all passed some measure of welfare for journalists, but nothing compares to the $90 million figure in the Empire State's budget. A wider effort in blue states to amplify left-wing viewpoints through these payoffs isn't far behind. Our great national conversation must be free from the government coercion and interference that we saw during COVID. We've seen Democrats erode freedom of speech and religion. Now they're threatening true free press by blurring the lines between government and the media through direct payoffs. Today, Democrats in New York are at the vanguard of formalizing a symbiotic relationship that would leave Americans with a media that has only a thin patina of independence from the state. What follows? Propaganda and manipulation that is an affront to journalism and democracy.